All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's a good way to start. Get that 7:45 a.m. clap going. Thank you. I'm John Amman. Welcome. I'm the president and CEO of the Westside Future Fund. We're honored to host this meeting this morning. I'm here with a wonderful co-host.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Ebony Ford. I am a very proud English Avenue resident. I'm even prouder of my son, who attends Howells Innovation Academy, and I am the director of corporate and community engagement at Quest. And I got my CEO in the house today, Mr. Leonard L.
Yeah, I
Adams
saw
Jr.
it. All right.
Good morning.
Yeah, we know Quest, a great Westside community development organization, and another Westside resident in Vine City, Leonard Adams, with his wife and a young son, because I see them out enjoying the new park, Cook Park. So
Absolutely.
Great to see you here this morning, Leonard. But for those, I always like to start just making sure we especially welcome. Is anyone here for their first time? Would you raise your hand? We're not going to do anything, I promise. I didn't mean to. Yeah, so welcome to our first-time visitors. We're really excited for our first-time visitors. Just reflecting earlier, we've been doing these Transform Summits now for probably about 7.5 years, and such a big part of is the learning and the awareness, and especially the community building. And so we love our first-time visitors. And for those that to review our program for the morning, we're going to do a couple more minutes of introductory remarks. For every single summit, we ground it with a devotion. We'll talk more about that in a second. I'm excited about our devotion speaker this morning. And then we have, each different summit, we have a different topic we take on with the speaker. And we're delighted this morning to have the President and CEO of Atlanta Housing, Eugene Jones, to be led in a conversation with our other co-host, Benjamin Early. And then and I should have said the most important part, one of the most important parts we do is after the devotion, we'll do self-introductions. So there'll be more people rolling in, and we want to make sure everyone gets to know each other through names and build community. And then we end the program. I think it'll be you calling out the names for a Home Depot gift card and a Goodwill gift card. So hang all the way through, because you can win that gift card.
Yes, and so that's when you'll have to talk. For the people that said they were new and he said he wasn't going to make you do anything, self-introductions, you do got to get up and say your name. So get ready, like we in church, right? And to John's point, yes, we are giving away a Goodwill of North Georgia gift card today, so make sure you get your ticket in the front. We're also giving away a Home Depot gift card as well, so make sure you get your red ticket and your blue ticket table as soon as you came in. If you did not get it, please make sure you get that. We're also trying something a little bit new. Your opinion really, really matters to us, okay? And we really value your feedback. So we do have a summit survey. And I believe that there's a QR code on the paper that's in your chairs. And you can scan that. You can also scan that big QR code if you can, if you'd like to. And please give us your feedback, because we really want to make these summits something that you guys enjoy, okay? So just make sure you definitely give us your feedback. And also get engaged with us. We are on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Please like, subscribe, share. Pay attention to all of our channels, and here they are right here. Here are the details. Make sure you get in touch with us. This is good information that needs to be disseminated, and we need you to get that done. So stay connected with us. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to say a little bit about our speaker this morning, Gene Jones, and with Atlanta Housing, and a few things that I've learned about Atlanta Housing through the work with the Westside Future Fund. One, there's a huge focus on affordable housing, and kind of when I got to know about how important Atlanta Housing was to affordable housing, if you think about Hartsfield-Jackson as the largest passenger airport in the world, how much traffic moves in and out of that airport. But the Atlanta region has other airports. So if you're to invite all the airport general managers into a room, I can hear all the different airports, But if you were, but if you're really thinking the scale of Hartsfield-Jackson and moving passenger jets in and out compared to those other airports is just a whole other magnitude. And that's kind of like Atlanta Housing compared to all the other affordable housing. Everything else other folks do is critical, but the amount of people served and the sheer volume and how important Atlanta, because without the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Housing, which is Atlanta Housing, it would be a whole, such a different kind of environment. So we're really, delighted that Eugene's here today. And what's so interesting, another big learning for me with Atlanta Housing is the overwhelming amount of money to support housing comes through the federal government via Atlanta Housing. And the Atlanta housing annual budget is close, or maybe even about the same as this entire general budget of the city of Atlanta. So a lot of people may associate housing with the mayor and the city, but the financing, and back to some of the history of our country, especially in the South, it was the federal government moving in with a lot of support for housing that made a lot of that happen in the different sites. So we're really excited, and we were lucky to get Gene from one of the top housing authorities in the country in Chicago, and so we're looking for that conversation. And did you mention to folks about getting connected for the? We did that part.
I did, for sure. And we had the slide, but we can look at it again. So these are all of our handles on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that's our .com. That's our actual website right there. So please, again, get connected with us and stay connected with us.
Great. All right, next for our devotion speaker, I'm really excited that, Dan's agreed at the last minute to lead our devotion this morning. Dan Cathy from Chick-fil-A.
Jerry's actually here. So.
Oh, Jerry.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt you.
Looks like our weather became so.
Or, if you guys want to fight about it, you want to fight it out, that's okay.
Jerry, we weren't sure, so we had Dan Cathy ready to go, but we're glad you made it. No, come on, and all right, thank you. Well, Dan was ready to go. We know that traffic can be an issue, but to set up, Jerry, who's real estate director with Quest. So thank you for being here. We got the full-on Quest team. And for
thank you. Yes.
And for folks that are for new, we draw our inspiration for the devotion from Nehemiah, and so Nehemiah is in the Old Testament. The story of rebuilding Jerusalem and really making Jerusalem safe, through building the wall. And one thing I've really come to appreciate, back to housing, Gene, and for me in the metaphor of the West End, I didn't really get this to this West Side work, is how core housing is, and high quality housing in a good neighborhood, how core that is to everything else. So if a wall is the metaphor of keeping a city safe, to keep a family safe so it can thrive and grow, it's housing. And so for a lot of work right now as folks on the West Side, is that's kind of our wall, is to build out that high quality housing in neighborhoods that people want to be in. So we draw lessons from Nehemiah, and I begin each of our devotion with reading this statement. You can also read it up on the screen. It's become our tradition to begin our meetings with a positive, inspirational message from a member of our community, recognizing that many in our community are driven by their spiritual faith to participate in the West Side Revitalization effort. The time at the beginning of our meetings is an opportunity to share various inspirational reflections. While the speaker may articulate their personal faith, it's meant to be inclusive, inspiring, and meaningful, with the story of Nehemiah as our guide. And again, great topic that you lead real estate development for Quest. I know you've been there, for 12 years, and so we're grateful that you're here this morning. To lead us in our devotion. So Ebony will go this way and turn of you. So give him a round of applause to welcome him up and help get him going.
Thank you, Tessa. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, West Side. It's an honor and pleasure to be here today. I want to thank West Side Future Fund for asking me to do the devotion this morning. Even though I almost lost my job, I was a little bit late almost, but I'm glad to be here this morning. But on the serious note, when they asked me, I was just sitting up here, I was thinking, what would be my message today, based on Nehemiah. And I wanted to find something that resonate with me and the West Side at the same time. And one of the powerful message of Nehemiah is how much you can accomplish when you align yourself with the will and plan of God. And then I think of myself, when I first came to Atlanta, I was a stockbroker, and my whole focus was, how can I get my money? How can I get your money out your pocket into my pocket? And it was such a stressful time, but we made a lot of money. But one day, when I was riding with my colleagues and we drove by on Peachtree, and we saw so many homeless people just lined up. And it just hit me like, oh my God, look at the impact here. And my colleagues was laughing, and I'm like, that's not funny. You know, these are people out here. So, needless to say, I don't know if this was a good move or not, but I quit my job and said, I'm about to make an impact in the community. And my colleagues was like, are you serious, Jerry? You know, I could never do that, but we really made an impact. I mean, I made an impact. So I really start focusing this community. But when I speak about aligning yourself with the will and the plan of God, each and every one of us has a mission that we have to accomplish. And God gave you that particular mission to fulfill. No one else can fulfill that particular mission there. So I want to mention that. Also, I want to say Nehemiah and his followers do what seems to be the impossible because they are doing what God has called them to do. And I look at myself in the West Side and the organization here at Quest that we are a part of. When I first came to Quest, they said we target the 30% AMI and below. I'm like, that's impossible. But if you have your great team and followers of the West Side Future Fund that we work together with, the Atlanta Housing, Philanthropists, and also Foundation, we was able to achieve that. You know, we serve the 30% below AMI individuals and families. So that was the impossible there. And quickly, I want to say, I think John already mentioned this through Nehemiah, you don't have to rebuild a wall to do the will of God. And I think about that because everybody always talk about rebuild that wall, separation device, us against them. But if we are rebuilding the West Side, we all have to work together as a team, every organization. And by us working together, we are really making an impact on the West Side. And I think these type of organizations that we all working together actually to make an impact. So, with that being said, I want to thank you all. Again, I'm Jerry McGoy, and enjoy the rest of your morning.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Jerry. And what I appreciated in your message and pulling from the wall of Nehemiah. And so you think about it, the wall, right? It's not one stone, right? It's a lot of bricks that people put their hands on and built it out. It's not just one big circular. So what I appreciate about the remarks, and it's reflected here, how many different organizations are involved in the revitalization of the West Side. It may be easier to coordinate if it was just one, but how many, and what makes it all kind of move together is being grounded in common values and aspirations, even though we sometimes may disagree on the particular tactics, but that common aspiration. So I appreciate you calling that out in the message today. And Quest is a great example of that, working with lots of different organizations across the West Side, like the West Side Future Fund. So let's please thank them one more time with a round of applause. All right. Well, for the next part of our program, and I think this is such an important part of our program, because maybe I don't know how much bricks talk to one another, but what makes our wall really strong is that we get to know each other and we build community together. And we're in relation with one another. And so one of the really important parts of our program is to take the time to do self-introductions so that as we're building out this wall, we know each other. And so for those that are first-time visitors, and also a reminder for others, so the self-introductions, we're going to go through the room just row to row. I'll have a mic. When you're asked to self-introduce, we'd ask you to stand up so everyone can see you. Hold the mic relatively close so that the mic picks up your voice. And then we would ask you to say your name. We could ask you to say your affiliation. I'm with, this company, or with this affiliation. And then you maybe feel the urge to keep talking, and we're going to ask you just to resist that urge and stop. Resist the urge. And not because we don't think what's wonderful is going to come out next, but just in terms of timing. And we're happy to get your message out through social media, post it, etc. So your name, organization, or kind of affiliation. We'll go through we're going to take the time to go through the whole room. We want to get through everyone. And as you're listening, maybe be thinking, hey, there's someone you might like to meet or someone you learn about that say, hey, maybe I have something I could contribute to what they're trying to get done. So you look like you're ready. Are you ready? You're going to kick us off. Good morning.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Shatima Tankson. I'm the broker owner of 1028 West, which is a real estate brokerage firm here in Atlanta. I'm also the school director of the EBR School of Real Estate. So how we are working together, I am collaborating with Rachel on your team to find out ways we can bring community education to the community as well as real estate professionals.
Great. Thank you. All right, Mr. Bellows.
Good morning. I'm Anthony Bellows. I'm a Westside Future Fund volunteer and a resident.
Good morning. Bishop Sammy Conyers, Senior Pastor of Calvary New Life Tabernacle. I'm working with Elder Wynn as bishop, and he's a pastor over in the area there off of Troy Street at the old Troy Street Baptist Church. And I'm glad to be here this morning.
Good morning. My name is Pastor Vader Wynn, and please do not affiliate that with Star Wars. So they have Darth Vader, and this is Dark Vader. Amen. And we've been working around in this area, and probably about a year and a half now dealing with the church on Troy Street. Thank you.
Morning. I'm Richard Taylor. I'm with Arc Capital.
Hello, my name is Ebony Jones, and I live in Vine City.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justine Veal. I'm a small business owner and a resident of Grove Park.
Good morning. I'm Camille May. I'm a resident of Grove Park.
Good morning. I'm Maria Saporta, journalist, editor of Saporta Report.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Danita Knight. I'm the president and CEO of the YWCA of Greater Atlanta, and I am here because we are bringing back the Phyllis Wheatley West Side YWCA in 2025.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Smith. I'm with the Atlanta Police Foundation.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Bush, and I'm a legacy resident of the Booker T. Washington neighborhood.
Bob Butler, Coldwell Banker Real Estate.
Good morning, Michael Ruffin, Director of External Affairs for AT&T. New to the city, first week on the job, and looking forward to meeting everyone.
Thurman Green with Technology Association for Georgia.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Demetrius Smith. I'm a local architect here working with Hendrick, and we've been communicating with Westside Future Funds for a bit. And this is my first visit here, so I just wanted to check things out.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Brown, and I am the Director of Parenting and Permanency with Families First.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Liza Mueller. I'm here as a volunteer with the Essential Theater in West End.
Good morning, family. I'm Tillman Ward, Community Resources of Atlanta, home of the YWCA, Phyllis Wheatley, the YMCA, and of course, Vine City, Gateway to Greatness.
Paul Duke, work for Standate. We are an end-to-end IT solutions company focused on digital automation, infrastructure, and cloud.
Right here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diane Fagabo Mason. I am a systems and transformation leader, and I'm here because at an event earlier this week, Dan Cathy and Rodney mentioned the great things happening in this organization, and I wanted to check it out.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Noah Mason. I'm an associate at Lock Lord Law Firm, full-service law firm here in Atlanta.
Great.
Good morning. I'm Corey Bishop with the Standing with Survivors Mobile Advocacy Team at AVLF.
Charity Drabick. I work for Atlanta Area Council, Boy Scouts of America.
Michael King. I'm with Keller Williams. I'm a sales associate.
Hi, everybody. My name is Layla Sprinkle. I'm here with the Atlanta Area Council of the Boy Scouts of America, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
Good morning. LeVar Haffney, lead business consultant with the Georgia State Small Business Development Center.
Good morning. My name is Aisha Wyatt. I have lived over this area since '99, and my daughter is a resident of Vine City. Happy to be here.
My name is Alan Bell. I'm with the Atlanta Resource Foundation.
Good morning. My name is Daryl LaSure, and I'm with Chick-fil-A.
Good morning. My name is Tanya M. Williams. I am the principal and broker of Williams Realty and Consulting, Inc., and I'm also a stakeholder in the English Avenue community, and I serve as their zoning, housing, and land use chair. And I believe that this summit is great, and we are totally committed to education and equity within the community.
Good morning. I'm Marvin Bussey, Teens at Work.
Good morning. Charles Merriweather, Goodwill.
Good morning. Leonard Adams, President and CEO of Quest Communities and HBCU President at Knoxville College.
Good morning, Linda Adams, no kin to Mr. Leonard Adams. I'm from the Vine City neighborhood.
Again, Jerry McGoy with Quest Community, Director of Real Estate Development, also residents of the West Side community.
Good morning, everyone. Brandon Sherwood. I'm a CPA with Baker Tilly in the Real Estate Advisory Group with a specialization in affordable housing.
Hi, good morning. I'm Neil Shorthouse with Partners in Change. We're normalizing dreams.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Bryant with Partners in Change as well, and we are trying to provide a new opportunity for people to pursue their dreams by providing free life coaching.
Good morning. My name is Bob Dickinson with Dickinson Partners Group, also STEAM Sports Foundation, and we provide scholarships to young women of color who are seeking careers in the automotive motorsports industry.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Bates. I'm a servant of the West Side. I'm a resident of the West Side. And the ways in which I serve as president of the English Avenue Neighborhood Association, president of Historic West Side Cultural Arts Council, and I serve on the board of Historic West Side Gardens.
Good morning. My name is Myrna Clayton. I am founder and executive director for Showability, supporting performing artists across the disability spectrum. I'm also a U.S. Cultural Ambassador. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Assad. I'm a tech consultant with Ernst & Young, and I'm just here to learn more about the West Side expansion through a man like Dan, who's invested major time into these projects.
Good morning. I'm Dan Cathy with Chick-fil-A and Trilla Studio, and I'm part of the Maria Supporter Fan Club and her beautiful hair.
Good morning. My name is Bernard Cook, and I'm also with the Boy Scouts of America, and now I can say I followed Dan Cathy.
All right, if you're in the audience, haven't self-interviews, want to raise your hand, but what we're going to do, and I just feel so important, and we get to know a lot of folks that are helping with the event are along the walls, but I want to move quick so everyone gets introduced, including the folks that are helping us today.
Candace Wheeler, Communications Manager, Westside Future Fund.
Jamel Evans, TMPAV.
Shobek Cillian, TMPAV.
David Herring, TMPAV.
Misty Kelly, TMPAV.
Brandon Brando, TMPAV.
James Hammond, Icon Filmworks.
Daryl Peak, Icon Filmworks.
Rachel Carey, Chief Real Estate Officer at Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Charles Ford, Director of Real Estate Finance and Asset Management.
Good morning, Marielle Hicks, Development Officer at Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Ashley Collier, Director of Development at Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, I'm Joanne Mariyoshi, Accounting Manager at Westside Future Fund.
Come to you next.
Good morning, I'm Jackie Sawyer. I'm the Staff Accountant at Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Jessica Nelson Moynich with 1570 Development.
Lee Harrop, Vice President of Real Estate Development, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, Susan Rutherford, Mayor Dickens' office.
Elijah Randall, ERAN Media.
Good morning, Westside. Nicole Jones, Office Administrator, Westside Future Fund.
Good morning, everyone. Tamika Askew, the Manager of Home on the West Side.
Good morning. My name is Derek Jordan, Vine City resident and also consultant for Westside Future Fund.
Did you get yourself introduced?
Rogers Williams of Icon Filmworks.
All right, we did it. Please give yourself a well, I thought we hold that. Oh, yes, thank you for that rescue, Maria Supporter. He was huddled in back, hoping not to be.
Morning, Danny Shoy, Blank Family Foundation, Westside Future Fund Board Member.
Yeah, thank you. We're delighted, we hope to have Danny later in the year, but, Danny's leading the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation's, all their Westside work, so thank you for being here this morning, Danny. Yes, sir.
I recently was appointed the National President for the Civil and Human Rights Commission in Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome. Let's give him a round of applause for that. Let me go quick, but so I always, learn about someone new I'd like to know more about, so hope you all do too, and we'll take the time to make that connection if you haven't. But I'm excited now to get to our program part, so I'm going to bring up Gene and Benjamin to lead us in our next part, Atlanta Housing, and we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. We also, and I know some of the work that that Dan is leading nationally, the Beloved Benefit, that's been a great event here in Atlanta. They're doing that in other cities, and Dan asked to give us all an update toward the end, so we'll take a few minutes for Dan to give get an update on that work. But we're really excited. I'm going to bring y'all on up, and thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning, folks. How we doing?
I'm the author of Housing Humans. Little do people know is that I did not aspire to write a book this quickly, but it just came to me after I left Chicago. I had an epiphany one day and said, you know what, I think I need to put a legacy down on paper so at least my kids understand what I've done for the last 35 years as they have been included in those 35 years. But I want them to know that, hey, this is something I dedicated my life. Public housing, social housing, something I wanted to give back to the community and do things being in a position of authority and power that I can house people. I can get people off the streets. I can do those things that other people can't do. How do you get other community organizations to believe in your direction, in your mission, and to get them to get people off the street to provide housing, affordable housing, and quality of life issues? I think I had a wonderful opportunity. My dad was in the United States Air Force. We traveled all over the world. Most of the places we've been to was in the United States. But the highlight of probably being a kid, 12, 13 years old, is going to Tokyo, Japan. And then seeing different walks of life. We had Japanese, we had Koreans, we had every walk of life in Japan that we were going to a school, and we get to mesh all these different complexities, all these different types of ethnic backgrounds and so forth. And so it made me grow as a person, saying that, you can't discriminate because everyone's in the same kind of boat that you're in. And so that really started, my thought process and so forth. I think the structure of the military, the structure from what I learned from my dad and so forth, and in the Air Force or in the military is black and white. There's no gray area. Either you do it this way, you do it, or you don't do it that way. The military is not for everyone, but it's for most of these young kids because they need some type of structure. They need some type of team environment. They teach you management skills. They teach you supervisory skills. They just bring you all together and say, hey, look, you can't be one, you got to be a team. And that's how you can be successful in your life. And I guess that's what motivated me. I've always stressed team for my staff and so forth. Team, team, team. When I wrote the book, I was sitting here thinking about, I said, gosh, you've done a lot of great things over your career. You did some amazing things. You did some things that were okay. You did some things that made people happy. I was sincere about what I did. And that's why I wanted to write this book, to put that down on paper and say how you can make things work the right way instead of the wrong way. How you can get people involved who've never been involved before, who you can get them interested. Hey, I didn't know anything housing was like this. I didn't know public housing was right behind my street. The title that I wrote the book from, Housing Humans, came from sitting around and thinking about Abraham Maslow. I mean, in college, you don't think about psychology. It's a elective that you have to do and so forth. And so, listen to Maslow about self-actualization and so forth gave me that opportunity and say, hey, look, this is really what it's about people, about human beings that want to do something, that want to be a part of something. And how do you make them a part of something and have them take credit and take accountability? And Housing Humans was a perfect title for that.
Mr. Eugene Jones, first I want to introduce myself to those who aren't familiar with me. My name is Benjamin Nurley. I'm a senior consultant with Red Clay Hill. But most importantly here, I'm a fourth-generation Westside resident and proud to be. And I'm a huge advocate of what Westside Future Fund has done in my community. So thank you all for all the hard work that you do. Continue to do it. Mr. Eugene Jones, we appreciate you joining us this morning. And as your video just sort of gave us a primer for it, let's talk a bit about your book, Housing Humans, which, by the way, is, again, available on Amazon. He also has some signed copies here in person if you want to pick one up. But just going into, again, your military background, your background with other housing authorities, and how, coming from that place, it informs your work in making some of the sort of tough decisions that you come across in doing this type of work in a city like Atlanta.
Well, you just got to walk around. You got to know your environment, what you're working in. You got to talk to your staff, first and foremost. You got to get out there and see the residents. A lot of people in my position, my colleagues across the country, if you got bed bugs in a senior development, well, you better go see those bed bugs. Because if you too scared to go see the bed bugs, then guess what the residents are living into? And if you don't understand that their plight, you're never going to fix anything. You got to talk face to face. You got to. You can't go in a suit and coat and think that someone's going to give you more respect because you have a suit and tie on. It doesn't work that way. You go in there with jeans, you go in there with a polo shirt, you go in there. I wish I had a polo shirt on right now, but I'm stupid me. But you got to break it down. From the president CEO, you got to dictate from your staff below you what you would do, and you don't ask them to do anything that you wouldn't do. And you got to lead. You got to lead by example. You cannot operate any business from behind the desk. A lot of CEOs do, and I think that's the wrong way because customer service is very, very important to me, how people treat other people. So when you leave, whatever you're leaving, that you have a good feeling that something's being done.
And you just sort of mentioned quality of living conditions that a lot of people have to deal with. And coming from the West Side, I can tell you there's a lot of, unfortunately, dilapidated properties. And even sadder than that, those properties are still inhabited by people who can't find housing, affordable housing elsewhere. So, just speaking to the impact that has on one's mental health and physical health, let alone the actual well-being and going out in the community and being able to thrive. What are some of the toughest issues that you've come across as far as housing and affordable housing on the West Side specifically?
Trying to tell people no. Don't like to tell anyone no, but that's the hardest one you do. I mean, the West Side has been great for Atlanta housing, the things that we're investing in on West Side. You got a great program, West Side Future Funds, that I'm on the board. And we talk, we sit down, we work things out. It's never no, you can't. It's how can we do it to progress what's going on the West Side. I think it was a big example, and I think that's why it's been successful so far. What you guys don't know is when I first got here in October 2019, I met with Mayor Bottoms. And she said, Gene, the West Side is going real well. I'm just so elated about the West Side. But I want something done on the East Side. I want something that replicates the West Side down the East Side. I said, okay. And so she gave me an example, and that's Bowen Homes. Now, a lot of people sit there and think, why did Gene select Bowen Homes? That's why I really select Bowen Homes. I didn't have to, but we want to mirror what we did on the West Side with West Side Future Funds and do the same thing on the East Side to build upon the success of the West Side development and opportunities. It hurts you when you see abandoned buildings and nothing can be done with it. You know, the first thing you do is you knock it down, then you try to find a way in which you get other developers, CDCs, local people to sit there and see how we can build infill housing. The best infill housing, not just something that you just put up because you want to fill it in. It's housing that fits in the community. You don't want eyesores in your community. You want something that's relevant. You look at the site, neighborhood conditions, and you try to do something like that. Atlanta, I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, across the country, Atlanta is a place to go. Not just because of the economic opportunity, but it's the affordable housing, the visibility of things are being done right. You are very innovative here in the city of Atlanta. Everybody, from my colleagues who work in public and assisted housing, they mirror what we've done in Atlanta. And I have to give my testament to Renee Glover because she started this endeavor back in the 90s before the Olympics. This started the way we do multifamily homes and how we recreate and redevelop a community to reduce crime, better schools, better neighborhoods.
You mentioned Bowen Homes. I graduated from Douglas High School. A lot of my fellow students were residents in Bowen Homes and projects like that. What is the future of Bowen Homes? When we look at folks, you know, from just my own personal experience, folks who come from these types of communities, a lot of times they're the ones who we have to look out for the most in terms of true affordability. As our devotion speaker spoke to earlier, you know, that 30% AMI and even lower. Because, again, when we talk about affordable housing, it's the question of affordable for who or for whom. And so understanding that people are coming from very different backgrounds, and in many cases, it's the people who are most at risk of being displaced who are often neglected when it comes to neighborhoods being reformed and repopulated. So if you could imagine me being a previous resident of Bowen Homes, as I try to speak for that community right now, if you were to tell me what are my prospects as far as rejoining this community that, you know, essentially was a staple in the West Side for a lot of brilliant minds that came out of there, what is the future for Bowen Homes in that context?
Well, we applied for an implementation grant, which is a choice neighborhood. We applied for $40 million. Last week we had HUD visitors to visit what we have put together. All the community effort, the mayor, the city, everyone was there just showing great things that Atlanta could be and will be and has been in this city. And so they were very, very impressed. Now, don't tell anybody, but I'm very optimistic that we're going to get this grant. We'll know probably no later than August. And if we get this is something that's going to be a legacy for the city of Atlanta under Mayor Andre Dickens, that we got together as a community and showcased this beautiful city. Now, when Bowen, even if we don't get the grant, we're still going to move forward with Bowen Homes because that's the right thing to do. And we're going to make sure that we can bring people back who want to come back, who used to live in Bowen Homes, the opportunity to do this. You know, gentrification is always an issue that everyone says, well, we're gentrifying this, we're gentrifying this. No one's trying to do any gentrification or anything like that. It's a numbers game. Now, you brought up a good point about affordability. I'm going to say what I feel about it. I think it's a numbers game. Affordability, if I'm working at McDonald's, affordability is this. If I'm a millionaire, my affordability is this. We keep going back and forth and saying 30% of AMI, 60% of AMI. I don't know who comes up with this number, but affordability means different things to different people. It's what you can afford at the time in which you're being employed, not employed, or whatever the case may be. And so we need to refocus what affordability is, because the word is not relevant anymore, in my opinion. Because everyone wants to showcase, well, we're building affordable housing. Well, like you said, affordable for who? You got major developers in this city that are building thousands of units. And we get in the mere pittance, and we sit there and we say, you know what, good, we got a few affordable housing. We should be protesting in the street. That's not enough, ladies and gentlemen. It's not enough. Never going to be enough. You get in the mirror, you sitting there, you're satisfied, well, we got 40 units out of 1,500 unit development. That's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely crazy. And it should not be. We should compel these developers to start building affordable housing and quit making it a money. It's always about money and not about the human aspect of putting people in a house and a roof over their head. And it's not just that. It's the amenities that you want with any other community, because you want to have like kind of you want a pool, you want all those other types of amenities, rooftop garden and so forth. It's just we just sit and we just settle for it. Now, the sad thing, the interesting part about it, they task me all day long. Gene, you need to do more affordable housing. You need to do more affordable housing. Gene's going to do that as much as I can, but I'm capped out on a resource. And so once I maximize on a resource, I'm trying to find everybody else to kick in. You got Invest Atlanta, you got all the philanthropic agencies, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but when we do a deal, it takes 4 to 5 years because we got to finance it. We got this red tape from HUD. We got to get it in line with this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And people say, well, why is this taking 4 or 5 years? And then the dollar has changed. What you commit $1 4 years ago is not the same dollar today. Now you got to go back and find some gap findings because it costs you more now. Materials, labor, and everything else. And so it's imperative that we try to get things started and moving in the right direction. The interesting part is COVID knocked us out a couple of years. And so now trying to get that back, trying to get back on course and trying to move things forward, you'll see some drastic changes. In the next probably year, we're going to put 1,800 units out there, affordable housing. You know, always everyone says the proof is in the pudding. I'm out there. I know what my staff has been doing. I know what we've been doing. We had a housing strike force yesterday. You just can't believe what things are going on in the city of Atlanta. Hopefully before September, October, we're going to do a developers conference, and we're going to let everyone know what development is going on in the city and the opportunity that there is to build affordable housing. We got to get to 20,000. And we shouldn't say we're going to eclipse at 20,000. We should be trying to get more than 20,000 instead of just 20,000. The goal is at least get that minimum, but get more than 20,000. That will be a success on this administration with Mayor Andre Dickens.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that when we're talking about the West Side, we're talking about a historically black community,
right?
And one that has played a significant role, not just in the history of Georgia, but in the history of this nation. You talk about it being the sort of home base for the civil rights movement. Icons, galore lived in the West Side. So when we are talking about what this neighborhood looks like going forward and mixing in context of, African Americans often, inhabiting the lower strata as far as economics is concerned, and people in these neighborhoods in particular are bearing, the brunt of poverty and at the same time staring in the face of new opportunities that they aren't necessarily being included in. So I appreciate, the intentionality as far as the number of units that you aspire to bring. I think one of the most important things also is ensuring that people actually have home ownership opportunities and not just rental opportunities. Because when we talk about the wealth gap between African Americans and everyone else in this nation, essentially you're talking about housing, because a lot of that came from government subsidized housing that we didn't get to participate in to a large degree. So now you have these reforms coming to these neighborhoods, and once again, people are afraid that they'll be left out of the equation. So is there a goal or an estimate in mind that you have as far as ratios between single-family home ownership opportunities versus apartments?
A couple of things. I'm glad you brought that up. It's funny that I'm saying this to you, but it's the truth in my heart. We're satisfied with just rentals, but we're not satisfied in going the next distance and providing home ownership, because that's what creates wealth. And I think it's just an inequity that we don't sit there and push more home ownership. Yeah, we want rentals, we want affordable housing, but the end of the game is home ownership, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we need to get to. How do we get a person in a position, a family in a position, to get them there? And that's probably Atlanta Housing's biggest attribute. We have the best, robust home ownership program across the country. It beats New York, it beats Chicago, it beats LA, of putting people into housing in this city. What I am going to tell you, which is, I don't want to make it a secret, but it is a secret. We can rebuild about 5 different model homes. I ain't going to tell you where, but real soon, but it's going to be modular homes. We're going to do self-development. And it's strictly for home ownership. People who are in the queue ready to go into home ownership in this neighborhood, or we can't find anyone in the neighborhood, we're going to put home ownership. We're also going to build a smaller unit next to that, to the proposed house, that you can have maybe your college student, your mother-in-law, father-in-law, something like that lives in proximity to this model home that we're going to build, so that whatever you rent that unit out to be, you can pay your mortgage down with that, and also with DPA and down payment assistance. It can't lose. It cannot lose. And so we're looking at something where we think we can test the market and do it better than the private sector versus contracting out. And what we're doing, we're testing ourselves. We're self-motivated. We're going to finance it ourselves. We're not going to go through HUD because we don't want to go through the red tape. We want to build something. Probably the first unit is going to come online is probably in September. And we're going to make sure that we market it out there to show that this is what we're going to start doing on our vacant land. Seeing if we can work this same portfolio all around the city. Currently, we have about 349 acres of vacant land. We're going to fill all those vacant properties. Either we're going to sell them or we're going to build home ownership units on top, or what we think the neighborhood's going to commit to and be satisfied with. So I'm very, very excited about that. That's coming on board pretty soon. It's coming to our board probably in a couple of months, and you're going to see some of the things different. We're trying to be innovative, ladies and gentlemen, not just doing the cookie cutter kind of thing that will make the West Side proud about what we're doing. We want to be excited. We want to keep excitement going. But we got to be transparent. We can't do something, we need to say it. If we can't do, we need to propose. We need to stick to it and have some fun with it.
So one project that I think definitely serves as a win for the West Side that you all are working in collaboration with West Side Future Fund on is the Herndon Homes project. Can you give us an update on that? This is, senior living, again, in a historically black neighborhood that is, set the intention of retaining those legacy residents. So can you give us an update on that?
We're going to put a Costco on Herndon. I'm just teasing. I want to see if y'all paying attention. So we're getting ready to go into phase 2. We're getting ready to close that deal probably in September. And we're going to start building vertically soon after that. We have a grocery that's committed there, Little will be there. They're going to buy, we're going to sell land to them. They're going to buy property. So we think Lidl's going to be, hopefully, start building next year. And so that once we start doing the vertical building on the affordable units, that everything will coincide at the same time and move forward. So we're very excited with Herndon. We just got good energy that's going on. I think you're going to have some great things going on at Herndon. With the church across the street, the West Side Future Fund, they're very intimate, involved in what we're doing over there, and I appreciate them being there for us.
Yeah, and right around the way from, Herndon is you got Scholars Landing. Can you talk a bit about Scholars Landing and what you all...
Scholars Landing, we're getting ready to do another phase of Scholars Landing. I invite you to go to Roosevelt Hall We're having an grand opening June 16th. I'm telling you, it rivals anything in the private sector. We're going to have, hopefully Rosie is going to move in at a portion of this building. It's historic. It's got a lot of history in there. Ernestine is just great when it comes to understanding what's going on in the community. Atlanta University, all the HBCUs we're working with, and so it's going to be phenomenal to see that. You'll see a lot of development going on in the next 2 to 3 years, so we're very, very proud of that. The things that we have been stalling on are things that are moving forward. You got the Civic Center. Wait until you see the Civic Center when it comes around. It's going to be something fantastic. We're looking at maybe the Grammy Museum or Atlanta Public Schools doing a Performance Arts Center. It's going to be phenomenal in that area. We have Inglewood. We're getting ready to develop. We have Civic Center. A couple other developments we have out there. Pardon me? Bankhead also. Absolutely. Pardon me? You said Bone Homes? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Clayton. We're actually going to open up to questions from the audience after this next one. But in closing, could you talk about the importance of partnerships and working with organizations like Westside Future Fund to actually further the mission of, true affordability in the city?
Collaboration is very, very important, especially to Atlanta housing. We can't do deals. We can't support communities without collaboration with the community. We just don't do everything in a vacuum. We have to get the neighborhood involved. We have to get them to buy into what we're trying to do and hopefully rebuild communities, seamless communities, that when we build in there, you're not knowing if it's public housing, assisted housing, market rate, tax credits. It's all one, and it's great for a community if you drive by.
Do we have any audience questions? Just raise your hand. We got it.
Be careful what you ask for now.
Bring the mic if you got a question. So I see.
Got Alan, got Miss Clayton.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. Long-time Atlanta resident since the first grade and on the west side. And so I asked about Bankhead Court. Bowen Homes has been, when you guys talk about legacy residents, that's a joke because they know, unless they're residents that are living there right now because they were displaced and they're everywhere else but the west side.
We still keep in contact with them.
Okay, that's a different conversation. But my question deals specifically with the disability community and percentage of housing. That's the largest minority population in the country. 26% of the U.S. population have a disability. Your predecessor, when I reached out to him asking about housing and what percentage of housing, affordable housing or project housing for that community, I was given the number of 2 to 3%. Has that number changed? And what efforts are being done? Because oftentimes when people think disability, they think wheelchair only. And that's just a small percentage. And so we're just curious as to, from an affordable housing, disability community standpoint, what's your plan?
From the HUD requirement, it's only 2 to 4%. He was correct. But at Atlanta Housing, we just don't do the minimum. We try to do more than that. And so, as I was telling you about these model homes, one of those model homes are going to be ADA accessible. It's just not wheelchair, ladies and gentlemen. It's sight. It's also hearing impaired. It's all those other types of things that we're going to do. We're going to mandate when we start building Civic Center, Inglewood, Thomasville, come around the board. We're going to do a little bit more, a lot more than what's been done before. And just keep my feet to the fire on that. You'll see.
President Jones,
Yes,
thanks for your leadership of Atlanta Housing.
Thank you.
When you mention diversity of housing and pathways to ownership and equity, not just building multifamily, but building detached or duplexes or other varieties, what are the things, when you look back 18 years ago at the leadership of Atlanta Housing, when they bulldozed Perry Homes and rebuilt West Highlands, what are the things that you feel like Atlanta Housing got right with that project? And what are things, when you look at West Highlands, that you think Atlanta Housing could have done differently?
Well, you can always could have done a lot of things differently. And 18 years ago, it just depends. I'm pretty sure Renee Glover was there, and she has done everything, a magnificent job prior to me being here. But you know, it's always touch and go. You can't treat one neighborhood like this another neighborhood. You just can't. The complexities are different. I think they learned a lot in West Highlands. You know, no one wants a development to be torn down, but no one wants a development to stay up and create crime and no opportunities. And so making that decision on West Highlands, I think is a good development right now. I don't think too many things could be changed, but I think it gave us a platform and a model that we can either replicate, tweak it, and do it better at some other developments that we have around this city. Okay?
Stand up. You get, okay, you want to hand it to me?
Bishop Sammy Conyers, Calvary New Life Tabernacle. I don't live in the west side of Atlanta, but I've been working, and some of my members have lived there for over 10 years. And I've seen knew what it was before a lot of the people moved out, but I'm a bishop working with Pastor Wynn on Troy Street Baptist Church, right in the heart. And I'm concerned because it seemed like it's still a desert place, an empty place, and all the families and the children that were part of the area were moved out. And I pray that it's a more housing area in that area that they're going to be allowed to move back into. And I want to know, how can I help? When I lived in Frederick, Maryland 15 years ago, I was part of an organization called Interfaith Housing. And we, after 5 or 6 years, we were instrumental in getting 60 meals from HUD Housing, and we transform a community in Frederick, Maryland. Let me know I can help.
So what I'll do is I'll give you the number. The mayor has a specific task force on churches in this community about building affordable housing. I'll connect you to that number. I have a question for you guys. I put some information back there about Atlanta Housing and also a strategic plan. It still appears to me that no one knows about what's going on in Atlanta Housing. And so a couple of things we're going to do. We're going to have an open house probably in October. We're going to open up our whole office so that you can come in as a public and really understand what's going on and what we're doing in Atlanta Housing. It's imperative that you understand. So if there's issues that were going on, I don't want you to say, well, no one told us and we didn't think it was that bad or that good. So we're trying to get the word out. I appreciate Westside Future Funds having me here. I want to make sure that we're open, transparent. My number is always posted. I hate it when someone calls or doesn't call. I go through the mayor's office. Well, someone called us and said that but no one wants to pick up the phone and call me. My email's posted. Everything's online. So there's nothing that you cannot get to me and tell me the good things and the bad things. Yes.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. My question was on the 349 acres that you guys own, the Housing Authority. So if you took kind of a rough estimate, if you sold off some of that and worked with 300 acres, how many houses do you think, or how much affordable housing do you think you would be able to provide? And are those like quarter-acre lots or third-acre? Have you gotten that far as the sizing?
I couldn't tell you that. I wouldn't even lie to you. No, because not all the sites are buildable sites, and all the sites that we want to build something on because they're too small. One thing you have to understand is that you can't just build a house on a corner because Atlanta Housing owns it and the whole neighborhood's crying because it doesn't fit into the community. That kind of piece of property, you want to sell it. And thinking about abandoned properties, it seems like in Detroit what they've done is that if the city will tear down the piece of property, if it's next door to you, you can buy that land for $1. Maybe something could be done here in Atlanta, something like that, so we can start knocking down the dilapidated housing that brings down the neighborhood. And hopefully we can do something about that. So a question, how many of you guys know anyone that had their picture on Times Square? Anyone?
Do we know people who had their picture on Times Square?
Right. Anyone? My picture is on Times Square for the next 30 days, June 11th, with my picture and my book, selling the book. I don't know how they did it. I'm just so elated that my picture's down there.
And shout out to a black man for being on screen in Times Square. I appreciate that.
And nothing ugly and no one's looking for me. So that's always a gem. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Sheldon Hill with Foreclosure International,
And the question I have is not so much about the affordability, because that is a wide range of things, but what do you guys have in place for people that are facing foreclosures and evictions? Because most people within 3 to 5 years of becoming a homeowner end up in foreclosure and eviction, especially with the way times are now with the massive layoffs. So what are your implementations to deal with that?
I think that's, I don't disagree. I don't agree with those numbers that you brought out, because once we put someone in a home ownership opportunity from Atlanta Housing, we work with that family for the first to the 5th year to make sure that they're secure with their mortgage, their job, and if they lost their job, there's some mechanism, some resources that we can provide to keep them in their home. So that's what we do. We do evictions only for something with is criminal activity along those lines, but other than that, our people who are in the home ownership program stay in there. We have the numbers to prove that, unless you just don't want the home anymore. But we have a good program.
Follow-up question that, a lot of news has been sort of out recently about HOAs and, how HOAs have actually hindered home ownership and even displaced some legacy homeowners. I was watching a news story about this one black lady who owned her home essentially, and her home was sold for literally half of its value because she racked up fines from an HOA that wasn't even in place when she bought the home originally. And so can you speak to sort of Atlanta Housing's defense mechanisms again, not just against foreclosure, but sort of predatory practices in terms of people doing whatever they can to sort of swoop in and take homes away from folks?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I know someone will correct me later on, we don't deal with any condominiums or home ownership associations when it comes to that, because it's too complex and too many requirements, so we stay away from that. In fact, HUD doesn't really allow us to do something like that because it's too many things that have to go on, so we stray away from that. But also, if someone picks up the phone, we can find some resource to try to assist them and help them. But we're not the end all to everything. I just want to make sure people understand that. We just don't do that. One of the things I would like to say is that my issues is that landlords in this state do not have to accept Section 8 at all. That's the sad thing when it comes to affordable housing. We do a great job with landlords in the city because we bring them to the fold. We give them some types of incentives to rent to our people in the Housing Choice Voucher Program or Section 8 program. Now, I'm just going to make this comment about the AGC. But they made a comment about all these units are in deplorable conditions across the city and something should be done. The city's not doing a job or anything like that. Now, think about that. So, should they live in squalid conditions? Absolutely not. My point is, is that once you get someone out of this unit, where are they going to go? You understand? If we don't have enough affordable housing, then where are those individuals going to go? And another point to that is everyone wants affordable housing, but you don't want it in your neighborhood. Okay? Everyone says we want affordable housing. Okay, I want to put affordable housing. Oh, hell no. You can't put it in there. I'm not gonna lie. No. Build it over across the street. See, we're never going to get, I shouldn't say never, it's going to take a long time for us to get there because people just don't understand the benefits of having multifamily homes in their neighborhood, and they always think something negative and stereotyping about you put a multifamily development in there that the housing values are going to go down. It's always about numbers. It's always about money. It should never be about money. It should be that human aspect. Just what we wrote about housing humans. I have some books to give away here. I'm not sure how I'm going to give them away. Yes, ma'am.
I'll volunteer to get a book. But I had a question. My question is about density in terms of what maybe in the heyday the Atlanta Housing Authority was able to provide as far as the number of affordable units in your heyday, and then who you'll be in the future. What maybe will mature, maybe it'll be the same, maybe it'll be less. But could you speak about those numbers?
those numbers are never ever going to come back to where we were back in the 90s. It's just not going to happen.
Can you just give me a reference point?
The resources. Back in the day, HUD was fully funded. We have many different programs that we could use to fund all these different social activities when it comes to social services. Those programs are gone right now. Every time we go to Congress for appropriations, we always have to beg for our money. There's no other federal government agency that goes through a budget year that has to beg for their money like housing, like HUD. They always cut back on the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Always. When they want to recapture funds, it's always HUD. If you have extra reserves because you're trying to wait for that rainy day or to preserve some units, they want to take that away. And so that's been the issue. They don't have credibility when it comes to HUD because they think that they have not done their job. You look at all the tangible results across this country, we do what we say we're going to do. But they don't give us enough resources that we can do a lot better. Give me a third of the defense budget just 1 year. I eradicate affordable housing and also homelessness across this country. Just 1/3 of the defense budget just 1 year. Get the practitioners. The practitioners are never at the table when it comes to appropriations in Congress. Never, ever. They always get these statistics, these pie in the sky crap, and says, well, poverty. We know what poverty is. We know where black people live, brown people live, and white people. We already know that. We know where deplorable neighborhoods. We already know that. I don't need you to assess it again. Just give us a resource so we can fit it. Give it to the practitioners so we can move it forward. Make us accountable. So.
We always like to end by about 9 and then more questions. I thought one thing more, Eugene, and thank you, Benjamin, and then Gathy's going to come in a minute and give us an update. But I was thinking about one question for you because you're in the middle of kind of the eye of the hurricane. But this collective group representing a lot of different, if you had one thing because we all know you want to accelerate your work. If you had one thing to say, this is what I really need, thinking about this audience, to help me, your leadership, do more, because we know you want to do. Is there one thing you'd say, this is what would really, where y'all could really help me do more? Is there something you really want to leave us with, Gene, to really?
I need you to come into the fold and be ambassadors when it comes to resources to get these developments and to help developers create affordable housing. I need you to know, what we do. A lot of people don't understand the complexity of what we have to go through when it comes to the development deal. I mean, you can't understand it unless we teach it to you in a general way, because there's too much red tape, ladies and gentlemen. I need you guys to understand what we go through so you can explain to the neighborhood and the community, Gene's doing everything he can, but here are the issues, here's are the roadblocks. And once you get that word out, it will make our jobs a lot easier if you understand our plight in which we have to go through every day when it comes to development deals and to support better neighborhoods.
Ladies and gents, Mr. Eugene Jones, President and CEO of Atlanta Housing. Appreciate you being with us this morning. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it back over to John.
And I think you have your pen with you, so you're ready to sign books. I saw you.
Already signed.
All right. Our pre-signed books. And so I'm really, delighted that, Dan and Catherine, let's give them a big thanks. That we've always enjoyed Chick-fil-A's here, complimentary. And I know you're going to give us an update, and so turn it to you, Dan.
Yes,
thank you.
Well, thank you. And I just want to extend a word of deep and sincere appreciation, John Almond, for you, for Ben, for Emory, for all of our staff that we have here with the Westside Future Fund. Absolutely. Just doing a tremendous job. We had the pleasure of hosting John and his staff down at Trilith, our movie studio operation, which will soon be recognized as the largest film stage operation in North America, which is pretty amazing, with 35 stages. And so stay tuned, a lot of exciting things that are in the works there. But my sincere appreciation for your faithfulness, your commitment, your steadfastness. I was chatting with John earlier that this gathering has been going on now for 8 years. 8 years we've been coming together like this, bringing Atlanta together. And so I just wanted to give you a word of commendation, not only for John and his leadership, but all of you as well. You know, we've enjoyed these gatherings together, and we'll continue because the work continues on. And it's wonderful to see old friends that have been so faithful over the years, also to be embracing and welcoming new folks that are here with us as well, who have a shared passion for dealing with the inequities that we have right here in our own city of Atlanta. But we're making progress, and I'm happy to see that. Also wanted to share with you an update that the Beloved Benefit is something that we learned from watching the Robin Hood event that's been so successful in Manhattan, where they're able to raise millions of dollars in Manhattan for social organizations and ministries there in Manhattan. We came back here a couple of years to incubate our own version of that we called the Beloved Benefit, which is taken from an expression that Martin Luther King had about his vision for the beloved community. We did our first event featuring Bruno Mars, and many of you were there at that event at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2019. We had the unfortunate global issue of the pandemic with COVID, and we had to put that on rest for a couple of years, cranked it back up again last year with Usher and some other Maroon 5 and some other entertainers. But in both those events, we raised over $5 million. And each of those events, and much of that money was allocated, of course, also for the Westside Future Fund. And I wanted to report to you that just this week, we were in Salt Lake City and in Houston, Texas, presenting the idea that inviting them, Salt Lake City and Houston, we got a couple other cities as well, who will be joining us for the next Beloved Benefit, which is coming up at the World Congress Center on August the 24th. So if you would, please put August the 24th on your date. And we're so excited that we'll be enjoying the incredible entertainment and the talent of John Legend, who will be our featured entertainer that night on August the 24th. And again, other cities that are coming to observe the Beloved Benefit, and how this pattern, the template that we're building of not just entertainment, but mainly the idea of the whole community coming together, embracing one another, accepting one another, and love and compassion and encouragement for one another, that will be taking place here in Atlanta, so that we can also serve our nation by the things that we're learning here. The last thing I want to mention is that as I was sitting here, Eugene, appreciating so much your leadership, and my heart kind of went, you know, when the quote was given, it takes 5 years to get these projects underway. Let me just tell you that if I ran Chick-fil-A, like our federal government runs things, and the city government oftentimes, that has so much, you're dealing with public funds, and so I get that, and all the checks and balances have to be there. But I'm telling you, if I had to compete with McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Panera Bread, all those things with a 5-year kind of time horizon, my goose would be cooked, and no way we'd be able to survive in that marketplace. So I want to recommend a book to you. I pulled it out as you were speaking. I want to pull out a book. This book can come in your driveway before you get home this evening, but it's called A Sense of Urgency by John Kotter. John Kotter is one of the great thought leaders of our generation. He's on the faculty at Harvard Business School, has authored a number of books. A Sense of Urgency, that's the name of the book. And I just encourage you, all of you are leaders here. You are all people of influence in churches, ministries, social organizations, businesses. And let me just share with you that we all have to develop in our leadership toolkit a sense of urgency within our respective organizations. It is urgent. There are lives at stake here that depend on a new sense of dignity by having lived in clean, safe housing, whether it's apartments, multifamily, or it's individual homes. And so there is a sense of urgency that we get this going on. But with a sense of urgency, it gives focus. It saves a lot of expenses in any construction development program that you've got going on. And it's all about developing a sense of urgency. And so I just encourage all of you with that thought, that we pick up the pace. And let me just tell you, when you get north of 70 years old, you have a renewed sense of urgency to get things done. So let's go get them, West Side. Let's make a difference. Thank you very much.
Now, thank you, Dan. You know, we're oh, thank you. Come on up, Evan. We're gonna do it. The takeout. Now we're a couple of minutes and past. Want to make sure we call the gift numbers because we said we're going to give out the gift certificates. So y'all have the ticket numbers ready to go. But reflecting on the urgency, you know, you know, the urgency of now. You know, I think what I often feel the urgency of now is we are alive right now. We can get something done right now. So the other urgency is why we're here. Let's get something done. And one of the things I really didn't get, but living in Vines City is how much just suffering there is, and the urgency and part of the frustration. And I really get it now living in Vines City. It's one thing if you don't have any water in a desert and there's no water tanks anywhere. That's one kind of suffering. But you're suffering in a desert and you look around and there are water tanks and it's like, why won't they give me any of that water? That's a whole nother level of suffering. And to look at the prosperity of this city, the question is not can we deliver, it's why aren't we? And it's back to the urgency because the suffering that we see across the West Side, it's not a question, it's not a resource problem. Urgency problem, a heart problem, and how do we get it done problem. So thank you for reminding us of that today. Appreciate you being here. All right, we want to do the gift card.
You're preaching.
All right.
That was good. That was good. Pastor John, we appreciate you. Yes, it is time time for our gift card giveaway. Home Depot has invested millions of dollars on the West Side for equitable revitalization, and they're giving a gift card away today as well. So the lucky winner is red card number, drum roll, 3990950. 399. That's you? Yes. Come on up and get your card. And you want to come up and get your card? And while you're coming up, I'll announce the winner for the Goodwill of North Georgia gift card giveaway. They have a new store on Metropolitan Parkway. If you have not checked it out, please do. It is awesome. And the winning blue card number for that gift card is 130596. 130596. Blue card. Blue ticket, 130596. Did you say you won? No one? Oh, I know, right? How dare they not stay to the end? Okay, so moving on. Next one, 130. You know what? People have won twice. 130596. No, wait. Oh. You should have said yes, because I probably wouldn't have checked it anyway. Okay, no, 596. 130597. Blue ticket, 130597. I only brought up 2 blue tickets, y'all. Somebody.
All right. We'll let you pick the lucky winner.
130598. 1305. You got 597? No.
He wants it.
Okay, there you go. Come on up. Congratulations. Your first time too, right? Okay, sorry about that.
All right.
Thank you. Oh, take your time. Take your time.
All right, now I know we're a few minutes past time, so thank you. We'll be back on the third Friday in June. So have a great weekend. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, John.